actually really good with shoulder and hip turn, okay?
Yeah.
But watch me. So I'm going to draw this line down your front hip, okay? Right there. And then I am going to pull up from the front point of view. We'll pull up. We'll use Zach Johnson. Okay. Your hip turn. Okay. See where his lead hip stays?
Yeah.
Very connected to that line, correct? Okay.
Oh, way off. Yeah.
Way off it, okay? Now, hip turns at 44 degrees, tour average being 45.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. Shoulder turn at 87, tour average being 88. Really good, okay? But, at this point, your hip sway is almost 6 inches off of the ball, or 6 inches away from the target.
Okay.
Tour average would be close to less than 1. It'd probably almost be 0 if not 1, you know, and some move a little off of it going back. But most, you know, because you'll have people that are, you know, like Keegan Bradley, who their front hip works a little off of it.
Okay.
Just a tiny, tiny bit. But he's loaded, so there's a difference between loading and sliding, okay? So loading, you can see his weight is firmly planted into his right hip, and that weight would be more on the instep of his right foot, okay? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So he is loaded. If I gave you a heavy medicine ball, you would hold it, and if I told you to then chuck it at the wall as hard as you could, you would this way. No, you would there. That's loaded.
Okay.
This is sliding.
Okay.
Yeah. You would never do this to throw it. You would take it and you'd load here into your right exactly, and you'd throw it that way, correct?
Right.
Because that's the most powerful.
Like this.
Not that
Makes sense.
exactly.
Okay.
You would be loaded. So when we do the door hinge drill, we load into this right side.
Okay.
We don't.
Right.
Like I said, it's impressive because you're still turning well.
Mm-hmm.
You're swaying
Right.
well too far off the ball. Okay, and so your weight is on the looks to be on the outside of your right foot,
Yeah.
away from the target, versus loaded exactly into almost like you were going to do a little squat kind of feel.
Right.
That's what was loaded would be. So there's a
Okay.
difference between, you know, properly shifting and loading your weight versus swaying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would like to see you, as you take it back, if anything, maybe only an inch away from the target. Okay. Versus 6 inches. Because now, ideally on the way through, we need to be able to get this forward hip to about 2.5 inches towards, 3 inches towards.
You want to go past that line? Yeah.
And so that's a lot of movement that has to be done on the way down if you're moving that much on the way back. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the less we move on the way back, the easier it then becomes to get stuff moving that way in front of that line on the way down. Okay? So that's what we're going to focus on today, is just getting you loaded or turned better in general versus swayed.
Right.
Okay? But I think overall, I think the swing looks pretty darn good from the last time. Like I said, we did a lot of things really well as far as our shoulder turns good. We've got all this spacing at the top here. I still think it's a little long, but partially that comes from, as this hip goes that way, okay, upper body then, to keep balance, has to go that way. And that's what we call a reverse pivot or reverse spine angle.
Okay.
When we get into a reverse spine angle, number one, over time it's very hard on the lower back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons we don't do it. But it can also, if I'm here and I start going this way, well, the club starts going farther back than it should. We've made the fine show now.